All right, YouTube. So this is another reaction to this YouTuber who says, "Why are Americans mad at China?" Now, I'm gonna just be 100. Most Americans don't really care about China or what's going on in China. Now, maybe the U.S. government does. Yes, the U.S. government does. But your average American citizen does not give two flips about China. And that's because several reasons. I mean, for one, people work 8 to 12 hours a day. Two, people have kids, people have families, people got friends. The only ones who may really care about China are people who are highly patriotic and highly proud of the government. And let's just be 100, no government is perfect, including the Chinese government. I mean, yeah. And in terms of China being better than the US, that is completely false. I mean, I will say this, Americans have been very transparent about what China has succeeded in and what we as Americans think we need to improve on that China has already improved upon, such as having better transportation, such as having better infrastructure in their major cities. Americans have already said that. So it's kind of funny that he's saying, "Why are Americans so mad at China?" But it's literally Americans who are praising China for a lot of their accomplishments in terms of transportation and infrastructure, how quickly they can build. The reason why Americans are mad at you personally is because you're only showing one narrative. You're not showing the reality of how people live in these American cities. You're showing one subway station in New York that is awful when there's probably 5 or 6 others that look nice. And granted, New York is probably not the cleanest city in America. It's probably not the safest. But we're a large country with several cities. Two, China is definitely, I can't say it's ahead of America in every aspect, because if that was the case, sir, you would not be using YouTube, which is an American platform. And if Americans truly hated China, then YouTube, which is an American based company, would not allow people like you to bash America while at the same time uplifting China. So you're benefiting off the American freedom of speech. If Americans hate China, we wouldn't allow you to show all this positivity of China. Make it make sense. Two, chances are you use an iPhone. Or if you do use a Chinese made phone, it runs off an American operating system such as Android. And most Chinese phones do use Google Play and Google Play services, and they do use Android. So you're talking about America being better or worse, I should say, and yet you're using a lot of our technology and systems. You're using YouTube. You're not using any Chinese social media sites such as TikTok, which is a pretty good site, to be honest. Congratulations to China on that. It has become global, so congratulations, China. Another thing is, if Americans truly hated Chinese people, we wouldn't have a Chinatown in all of our cities. There's a Chinatown in New York, there's a Chinatown in San Francisco, and there's a Chinatown in Chicago. So once again, how are Americans mad at Chinese people when we are literally allowing Chinese people to promote their culture within the United States? Just go to Chinatown. You'll see the Chinese flag waving high and proud, the Taiwanese flag waving high and proud. A lot of traditional Chinese restaurants, food, culture. You'll have a lot of that. Chinese people who live in America and who are making money in America. So once again, how are Americans mad at China? This guy is spinning a false narrative. And I have met people from all parts of the world living here in San Francisco. people who come from much better, much cleaner societies like Canada or even New Zealand. And some people really do like the grittiness of America. You know, organization, everyone likes organization, but sometimes people do like a little chaos. Just like we as Americans, when we go to Brazil, Brazilians think we are crazy because we live in these favelas. And that's because for us, sometimes you like a little chaos. Sometimes you want to step out of that comfort zone. Sometimes you want to have a dopamine experience. And it's the same thing with China. Serpent ZA, I don't watch his current videos, it's too political. Mostly his old videos. When he lived in Shenzhen, he went around a lot of these poor urban villages, and that's because he kind of liked how chaotic it is. He liked how everything seemed a bit chaotic, unorganized, but it still worked. And the fact that everything just looks so different. You know, this isn't normal. This isn't your cookie cutter society. This is very different. And that's what people like. Sometimes the grittiness people like. But once again, Americans don't hate Chinese people. If that was the case, they wouldn't be allowed to express or even to promote their country in a negative or positive way on YouTube, and you definitely wouldn't be allowed to criticize the United States on YouTube. So you're using an American platform that was built on American values to promote freedom of speech. You're benefiting from the American system, and you're making American paychecks by using YouTube. You're not using a Chinese social media app. You're using an American social media app. So Americans don't hate Chinese people. If we did, we wouldn't have Chinatown in San Francisco or New York or Chicago. If Americans hated Chinese people or China, we wouldn't have sold the 747 to Mr. Xi Jinping, the president of China. He wouldn't be flying on that 747 because that's an American-made plane. He wouldn't be flying on it. And I can keep on going. Anyways, peace.